Open your ears and lube up your butthole. It's time for the What Do We Call It podcast. Now, here's your host. It's Jmann. Welcome to the What Do We Call It podcast. I'm Jmann.
And I'm number one fan, Tim.
El Chapo.
El Chapo.
Joaquin Guzman.
Going to jail.
He has now been convicted of a battery of offenses, including international gun and drug trafficking and all kinds of shit. So if you don't know, El Chapo is like the most famous drug kingpin since...
Medellin.
What?
Oh, shit. Not the name. Fuck.
I was going to say Pablo Escobar.
Yeah, Escobar. That's what I was thinking about. Sorry. The Entourage, in the show Entourage, they talk about Pablo Escobar. It's called Medellin.
Anyway, so I'm going to get to the meat and potatoes of why we're talking about this. I never thought I would agree with that dickhole Senator Ted Cruz, Republican from Texas. But he believes and has introduced a bill that we should seize the billions of dollars in assets connected to El Chapo's crimes and then use that money to build a border wall with Mexico.
When you first mentioned this to me, my question was, can we actually do something like that?
Well, his crimes spilled over into our borders, and he's been convicted here. It's up to the Mexican government if they want to allow us to do that, which I'm sure they're going to be like, no, we're going to take all the money.
We'll take care of it. We got this, senor.
We're going to build hospitals. We're going to build water parks. We're going to build some schools.
We're going to get our water better than Flint, Michigan.
Yeah. And then we're going to build like the largest mall in history, and it's going to be filled with stores that all sell the same little trinkets, but just are a little bit different.
They're just going to buy themselves, the politicians can buy themselves more limousines and bigger houses.
Okay, so here's drug trafficking, weapons violations, and operating a continuing criminal enterprise. Cruz tweeted, U.S. prosecutors are seeking $14 billion in drug profits and other assets from El Chapo, which should go towards funding our wall to #secure the border. People went apeshit with this on Twitter. I saw it and went, yay, that's a good idea.
I didn't see it, but I don't think this is going to happen.
Probably not.
It'd be great if it did. Honestly, like, that, what better fucking way to pay for it, but... And we can make a really good wall, because that's like, wasn't that almost 3 times what Trump wanted?
Yeah.
I think he was asking for, what, $5.7 billion?
Roughly.
Yeah.
So this is a nod to a previously introduced bill, and they're calling this one the El Chapo Act, or Ensuring Lawful Collection of Hidden Assets to Provide Order Act. They actually came up with something, an acronym to go with the El Chapo. Isn't that great? First introduced in April 2017 and reintroduced in January of this year, the network reports. The bill would reserve any amounts of forfeited to the U.S. government as a result of the criminal prosecution of El Chapo and other drug lords for border security assets and the completion of the wall along the U.S.-Mexico border. Isn't that great? The idea has particular relevance this week because Guzman was convicted Tuesday and lawmakers are currently sparring on border security funding issues and other possible government shutdown looms.
No big loss there.
But they're just saying that I thought that he had made like probably tens of millions, maybe like 100 or 200 million. No, he made billions with a B.
Lots of money in drugs.
And part of why he was alleged to have been allowed to stay in power is he paid off a former government official, I believe the former president of Mexico, $100 million to let him keep doing what he's doing. To just say, fuck it, let all the murders keep happening and the marijuana, cocaine, heroin, and methamphetamine flow. Let us do what we do because, I mean, really, the main export of Mexico is drugs.
Yeah, some boroughs aren't a huge hit anywhere else.
And I guess also sit-down restaurant cooks. If I'm being brutally honest and stereotyping. Although I will let you know that the restaurant where my wife works sometimes, all the cooks there are Honduran. Yeah, so they're not all coming here to just roof our houses and stuff. They're good people.
No, I'm not saying that, no.
Well, because people might hear me mock stereotypes and think that I don't like Mexicans, and that's not at all the case. I like Mexicans. They're good people. They're hardworking people. They're respectable.
They are hardworking. They are.
But this whole border wall thing is a sticky wicket.
Yeah, just watching everything go back and forth with it, it's like, well, I wouldn't go so far like Trump trying to declare an emergency to fund the wall. I wouldn't say that it's really an emergency, and I don't really think it's a very good idea to declare it an emergency just so he can get it funded, because that opens the door for dickhead politicians like Democrats down the road to do that to, like, guns or anything else they don't like.
Abortion?
No, abortion's settled. It's legal, all right? It's settled. Sure.
That's not settled.
They need to stop hashing over it.
They keep going back and back and watch
They
somebody
keep going back and forth with
it's
it.
a national emergency. They're killing all these babies. They keep jamming coat hangers into their little soft spots, and they're not able to be born and grow up to be the next leaders of the world.
When Trump was running for president, someone asked, no, was that Brett Kavanaugh?
The beer guy.
Whatever.
I liked beer. I would drink beer. I worked out with guys who had beer so I could drink beer. I never at any point stuck my penis in the mouth of a woman while my friend stuck it in her vagina and we high-fived at the same time. Thus, A-framing. Devil's Triangle. Beer.
But no, he would, because a lot of people are saying Trump's appointing him because he is conservative, so he's against abortion. And Kavanaugh's exact quote was, "That's been settled a long time ago in Roe versus Wade. I see no need to revisit it." Even though his own personal beliefs are that it shouldn't be legal, he recognized the law as already said and done. Boom, it's legal, whatever. As he should. His job is to interpret the law, not apply his own personal views to it, unlike some of the other judges that seem to do that. And I'm not talking just in the Supreme Court, I'm talking everywhere.
Well, to answer your question about who owns the monies, here's the next paragraph. The lion's share of any of his assets seized, rightfully by law and agreement, belong to Mexico. They are unlikely to find much, certainly not $14 billion, and Mexico will never agree.
That is correct.
The publication quoted Bruce M. Bagley, a University of Miami professor who has written on drug trafficking in the Americas in the past. That's his thoughts. So the unpopularity of President Trump, on the other hand, probably is not going to help anything either. As he said, he's going to make Mexico pay for the wall.
Which is a promise you never should have made.
Because you can't deliver on it. That's like me saying, I'm going to make LeBron James will the Lakers to win the NBA championship.
You know what? A lot of the other things that he ran on, he's getting done.
Kind of.
Well, more so than other presidents have done.
Touche. So, yeah, this whole thing with him and the border wall is just pissing off more people. And I doubt Mexico is going to be looking to stick their neck out to help us at all.
Probably not. Not that we would stick our necks out to help them either. I mean, despite the friendliness of our borders, and we can use that term somewhat loosely, we don't exactly have each other's backs.
I'm going to go out on a hypothetical here. Because of all of our willingness to prosecute El Chapo, does it not indirectly, at least, reflect on Mexico as sanctioning what he did by not taking him down themselves?
Yeah. That's exactly what it is.
So then should
if he really did pay the former Mexican president $100 million to just leave him alone, well, I think that particular president should be in jail now because that's accepting bribery. Isn't that illegal?
Yeah, but this is Mexico and it's the Wild West down there, and most of their law enforcement and army are fucking crooked. They're basically guns for hire down there anyway.
Most of them are into the frickin' drugs anyways.
So here's what I'm saying. Here's where I was going with that. That being said, that Mexico allowed El Chapo and still allows the cartels to remain in power, and the violence continues. Specifically today, it was noted that there was a shootout in Cancun that left 5 dead and 5 wounded, and it's right in the middle of tourist country. People don't even want to go to Cancun anymore because the fucking cartel violence is spilling in over to the resorts where people stay. So, with all of that on our border, I think he's right to necessarily declare that, dealing with that violence, spilling over a national crisis, but not an emergency. But I'll go a step further. Should we go to war with Mexico?
No.
But there's already a war on drugs in there saying that drugs are okay if you give us the right amount of money. So why don't we go down there and basically manifest destinize the living shit out of that country and just take out all the cartels, take over their government. We divide up all the 8 states of Mexico or whatever they have and make them American states. And then all the people that keep fucking sneaking over here anyway get to be citizens regardless. It's an entire region of different skin-colored people. But then maybe if we stabilize the region, people start moving down to Mexico because it's a dry, arid climate. And it becomes a viable country, a viable region of the U.S. Like, it's a lot of dominoes to fall, and it's a big hypothetical bubble here. But think about that.
Take a while for it to all come in, but
this is how massive change over history happens. You know, the Louisiana Purchase wasn't just some shit some people talked about over a card game.
No, you're right. It was years in the coming.
So we've got our neighboring country that is a massive issue. Each year they are now topping themselves for murders. The violence is unheard of. There's so much poverty, and these people are suffering, and they keep fleeing here. So do you try to cure the symptom or the disease? The disease being the drugs. You go down there, you fucking take out the cartels. And then these people might not want to come here, but maybe they still do. So why don't we just... How many presidents ago in Mexico did he say that America needs to do the right thing and value the peso the same as the dollar, which is fucking ridiculous. But still, think about that. We absorb Mexico. And then he can say, I got the ball rolling on the true path to taking out MS-13. I fucking took the whole country over next door to us so we could stop them in their tracks. If all of that shit happened, I would be cool with that. I would.
I have no idea how I feel about it.
The Mexican people might not be too cool about it at first.
Some of them probably won't, yeah.
But I gotta think, they're like, oh, you're gonna make us all Americans now? You're gonna fucking take over? We're all gonna be
They're gonna take our culture?
States?
No, we're just making you part of us and putting our laws and enforcement capabilities down there.
Yeah, and you guys have your own state governments that have their own laws that are superseded by our federal government that doesn't know what the fuck it's doing anyway. So Come on and join the party! Ole! And then a bunch of people are doing Mexican trilling.
A bit far-fetched, but okay.
I think it is a worthwhile strategy because I've been saying for years, plural, that we need to deploy our military not to Syria, not to Afghanistan, not to the Middle East. The real trouble's on our own border. So go the fuck down to Mexico and send our army down there to take out the cartels. Fucking take them out. Fuck them. They're poisoning us with all their drugs. We want to combat the flow of drugs, and if we take out their cartels, the business might move south a little bit. But still, I mean, that's... I don't know the exact figures, but I got to imagine a large portion of all the drugs in America come from Mexico because it's right next door, because it's so hard to get them from China. And Afghanistan is a major producer of heroin, but I doubt that heroin's making it here versus going to like Russia and all over around that region.
It's probably not making its way here, right? Most of it has just come from Mexico.
I know it's a giant fucking Hail Mary of a strategy that basically equates to, we claim this land for Spain. It's the equivalent to that shit. Well, still, imagine that. Imagine if we took Mexico and then divided it up into a bunch of states. Puerto Rico's going to be like, hey, what the fuck? We've been on the waiting list forever, coach. We've been on the bench for 3 seasons. Put me in. I'm a senior now. It's my time to shine. I'm fine with it. I feel horrible for what goes on down there. And now Mexico's used to get so much tourist money from us going down there and people making it a destination. No longer. No, it's a fucking travel advisory zone because of all the violence.
Step up and clean shit up if they want tourism down there.
You cannot expect Mexico itself to take responsibility for its own shit because they would have to admit how much corruption is going on.
Yeah, I'm just saying that really that's what they should do. They're not going to. They're never going to admit that there's a problem.
Right, but then what the best thing you could do is someone would be like, well, then what are you going to do? Make all their cops and federal agents, American cops and federal agents? Maybe, but we're going to fucking look into them.
Maybe root out the bad ones, send them to jail.
They're war criminals. It's a war on drugs. It's a fucking war that isn't the typical type of war.
Maybe it's a war we could win.
Let's do it.
We could take on Mexico.
Because then, think about this. We wouldn't need a fucking border wall, would we?
No, we wouldn't.
And Canada might be like, what the fuck's going on
But
here?
I think
you just took over all of that.
Taking over a whole country is going to cost a lot more than $5.7 billion.
Hey, if we use money to help them
it could
improve
end up
their
falling
infrastructure.
very, very quickly. It could.
$15 billion has got to be enough to fund a war to clean up an entire fucking nation.
Maybe.
And then establish greater infrastructure. And then, make them states. I got to believe.
Maybe.
I just think with all the money we spend and all the arguments there are to be had about border enforcement, border safety, border, fuck the Mexicans, Texas would be pissed.
Even if Mexico was a great place and there wasn't that much violence and all that, you're not a country if you don't have borders. Okay, you can't just let a free flow of people go back and forth across your borders. It doesn't work that way. Okay, they tried it in Europe. It doesn't work.
That's a very unliberal thing for you to say.
I don't give a fuck.
That's why I said it with a hint of sarcasm in my voice.
You can
Interact with the show on Twitter at What Do We Call It? That is at What Do We Call It? You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/group/What Do We Call It podcast show. For the What Do We Call It podcast, I'm Jmann.
And I'm number one fan, Tim.
And that's the end.